Welcome to A Fortnight on the Isle. I'm your host, King Crusoe. You can call me KC, and this last fortnight has been quite the eventful one, all things considered. There's been quite a bit going on over these last couple of weeks, including spending some time with friends a couple weeks ago, had family over last week, got sick the last handful of days, and I'm pretty sure allergies hit me at right around the exact same time, so there's been a lot of that kind of stuff going on, more on like the personal life side of things. But even as far as work and that kind of thing is concerned, I have done a ton of work the last couple of weeks as well, but also feel like I didn't really get much done, all things considered, but that's kind of a normal feeling for me, feeling both of those at the same time. I've just generally, felt like I've enjoyed myself, but also hated existence to a certain degree, like life is kind of a little bit of a light switch, basically for the entire fortnight. But yeah, that's just basically the tip of the iceberg of how I feel, and frankly, most of the details aren't important, and we need to get on with the video anyway. We'll start off like normal with the bi-weekly reading, and surprisingly, probably the most clean couple of weeks that I've had here for a little while. Notably, over the last fortnight, I did read Children of God by Mary Doria Russell, the sequel to The Sparrow. This took me a few days longer than I wanted, than I intended for it to, but I did manage to get through it all before I started my next read. And this was good, there's a lot about Children of God that handles certain theologically based themes basically just as well as The Sparrow does, and when it is doing those kinds of things, the book is equally as incredible, but there is also a lot about Children of God, particularly in the back half, where it is a lot more like plot-centric in a way that The Sparrow isn't, and the way that the first half of the book isn't, that I felt like ironically kind of lost a little bit of focus, where I felt like these books were trying to do a little bit more on a thematic side of things, and then the way that the themes of the back half of this book, they don't really pop through quite as much because it is more plot forward, and it does feel more like a tangent to the other themes from the first half of the book and from the first book. So there's a lot about Children of God that just I guess disappointed me a little bit, but I don't know if disappointment is necessarily the right word, because the moments of that book that are incredible are still absolutely incredible. I believe I did talk about the book a little bit last time, and may have said some of the same sentiments. I don't remember how far into the book I was last time. I want to say I was 15% in, so yeah, that first 15% was the example of like, yeah, it does some stuff just as well as the first book, but it does focus on some plot stuff in ways that I was like, I guess not as into as I would have liked to be, so it was good, but definitely not as memorable as The Sparrow, we shall say. But my other read that I got through these last few days, basically, that I read The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett, book 2 of Discworld, and I finished this morning. I didn't think that I was actually going to be finished with this before I recorded this video, because I was planning to record it yesterday, but I have been dealing with the sickness/allergy stuff, and that meant that I had time to actually finish this before this video, and this was really good. To say that Light Fantastic is a step up over The Color of Magic is honestly kind of an understatement. Color of Magic feels a lot like a proof of concept in many ways, not least because it is structured basically like 4 novellas just stitched together as one binding, with very loose connections in between those otherwise disparate novellas, essentially. The Light Fantastic is a proper novel. You kind of know what the book is doing the entire time, and a lot of what it is doing is pretty heavily based off of some things that are set up in The Color of Magic, and so that makes this basically, like I was told and like halfway expected, proper sequel to The Color of Magic. But there's also some things about this that are like kind of easy to point at, be like, there are some errors here. Maybe errors isn't the right term. There's just a couple of retcons and inconsistencies that feel like things that like Pratchett just changed his mind on and didn't address in the book. And those are the kinds of things that, like, just tonally with these two books, you would think that he might have addressed some of those things in some way just to make it clear that like the reader isn't going crazy. For example, the number 8 in the first book is treated like this evil number that you're never supposed to say, but then suddenly in this book, 8 is like what everything magically related is built around. Like, it's like the number basically, and that is completely disparate between the two books and is never addressed. It's like, why? Why is that way? So there are little things. I have little nitpicks about the book in that regard, but overall I had such a fun time with this and enjoyed it so much. There were so many things that I pointed out, like just quote-wise or little bits that took place over the course of a couple pages, basically, that were so fun and engaging, and, you know, just several sequences throughout the book that I really enjoyed. I just think that The Light Fantastic was a lot of fun. I really, really liked it for that fun factor, and you know, even more than I liked Color of Magic, and I already enjoyed Color of Magic surprisingly much, so I cannot wait to continue more Discworld. That book was good. So the other notable thing, of course, is that within the realm of Christopher Ruocchio's newest book that he's been writing, I had access to the entirety of part 1 for quite a while, and I've been working through that. I believe I was at 55% of the way through that. No, I was actually more like 60 to 65% of the way through part 1 of that last time I updated you about it, but I have now finished part 1. So I've not finished the entire book because Christopher hasn't even finished writing it, but I have finished all of part 1, and I gotta say the last handful of chapters of part 1 go very hard. As for the next 2 weeks, what do I have planned to read? The first book that I plan to read this week is Read Along of the Carpet Makers by Andreas Eschbach, and I'm really looking forward to this. I know that this is basically a collection of stories. I don't remember what the term properly is, like a fix-up novel, basically, where it is, you know, multiple stories. Each chapter is basically its own standalone, but they do weave together and have a narrative through line that connects them together. And I have many friends who really love this book, consider it personal favorites, basically, and I'm looking forward to giving this a shot with a couple more friends this week as we do it for a read-along. Really excited for it. I don't read a ton of sci-fi, so having something a little bit more unique and experimental will just be kind of fun in general, and so I'm looking forward to the Carpet Makers for that reason. And then next week, because I do not predict the Carpet Makers taking longer than all of this week, so next week, the plan is to read The Heart of the Naga, the first book of The Bird That Drinks Tears. I guess I do have the dust jacket right over here as well. So this is the next book that I'm going to be reading. This is the first book in a 4-part fantasy series from Korean author Lee Young-do. And notably, this is like considered to be the Korean Tolkien, basically, the Korean Lord of the Rings. So very foundational as far as fantasy is concerned within South Korean culture. And being translated into English for the very first time. And so the first book just came out. I decided I wanted to read it immediately for some reason, so a friend and I are going to be reading this next week, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. You know, just general world building and culture building type of stuff seems like it'll be really interesting, so I'm definitely looking forward to giving this one a shot. And since it is a little bit shorter than I thought it would be, you know, Amazon basically had it listed as 500 pages before it came out. It's only like 430 pages, and not very dense as far as prose is concerned for fantasy, so I think that I might be able to get through all of that next week. That is what I've got going on at the moment for the reading. As for the bi-weekly gaming, there's a lot more to talk about here than typical for me at this point. Of course, I did continue streaming The Last of Us Part 2. In fact, I'm recording this video right after getting through streaming the 4th episode of that series over on my second channel. So I just got through all of that, and I'm halfway through Seattle Day 2, basically. I don't quite know off the top of my head exactly how many hours I've put in. I have streamed for, what is this? Basically 15 hours, I think, of the game so far, and I have probably, I don't know, probably a fairly similar amount left, maybe like 10 hours left of the game, if I were to guess. And enjoying that for the chronological playthrough. And it's going well. I will continue to be doing that over the next fortnight. The other things that I did play, however, are Need for Speed Carbon, which I did end up recording all of that Let's Play a couple of weeks ago. Got all of that prepared for it to, you know, release as videos this month, basically, throughout June. The first video is already out as of, you know, a couple of days ago, and that will be continuing to post throughout June, so I did play through all of that. I played through 8 hours of that game in one day for that Let's Play, and it was a lot of fun. I love that game. My favorite Need for Speed game that I've played. I've not played very many, mind you. but it is a longtime favorite. It is one of the games that I've played the most times in my life. Absolutely love it. And unexpectedly, I did also manage to actually finish God of War Sons of Sparta this fortnight. On account of being sick a little bit the last handful of days, I had some time where I was originally planning to do a lot of recording and editing and stuff like that for videos to come out this month. I ended up just gaming some more. So I played that game a little bit more, and I beat it. I finished the campaign, then I got the 100% in essentially everything, and therefore also got the platinum as well. It was good, you know. The game gets a lot better, especially narratively in the back half, but there are enough like very little nitpicks with the game as a whole that it's just like hard to recommend, you know. I like it quite a bit, but it does have some very notable like minor problems basically throughout. That's like the short version of a quote-unquote review. I was originally planning to finish that game back in like March so that I could review it in March or April, but now I can think about reviewing it now, so maybe that'll come out at some point over the next couple of months or something. But the fact that I did finish that game means that I don't have to mention it in the Fortnights on the Isle anymore, so that's a good thing. My plans for the next 2 weeks are basically to continue The Last of Us Part 2, of course, because of the live streams, and then I don't have anything nailed down of my plans. I have one particular game that I may play over the next couple weeks. It's only like an hour long. Depending on what my video decisions, what I do video-wise on the second channel in July, I may do something. I'm not going to talk about it yet in case I just decide not to do it. The other thing is that my next major Let's Play after Need for Speed Carbon is going to be Resident Evil 4. Those will probably start posting in August if I were to, you know, take a guess at my timing on that. So it might be over the next fortnight or so that I actually start playing that, start recording that Let's Play, because that's a Let's Play I'm not going to be able to do all in one day. So I might start that this fortnight and at least start getting videos prepped for that. But those are my plans and everything regarding the gaming. With regards to the cinema, also again, slightly more to talk about here than typical, because the first things first is basically, like I said last time, I would watch the Hobbit Maple Films fan edit right after recording the last Fortnight on the Isle. I basically did that, and enjoyed it, but ironically didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would have. You know, it is a better adaptation of the book than Peter Jackson's trilogy on account of it, you know, cutting out the stuff that isn't adaptive. But overall, there was enough, you know, added with the subplots that I personally just enjoy for whatever reason that the fan edit just didn't quite do as much for me, weirdly enough. I have no idea why that is, but I did make a video about that last Monday, that talked about that experience, so if you're curious about that, you could check that out. And then I also did go to the theaters to watch a couple movies a couple weekends ago with a friend. First off, I did go and watch The Backrooms with my buddy Lane, and that was a lot of fun, man. You know, that's not a perfect movie. There are some issues with it, notably the problem that basically all like monster movies basically struggle with is when they show the monster and having that be like satisfying. So I was not sure how I felt about that for quite a while after finishing it, but I enjoyed the watching experience of Backrooms so much that I ultimately decided to just, you know, give it 5 stars in spite of my, like, very minor problems with it. There was nothing about it that bothered me enough, especially not after thinking about it, the more that I think about it, that is worth really docking the movie for those things. And so I just gave it 5. Like, it might be that I dock that to 4.5 at some point, but I do think that that movie is an underdog film of the year contender, for sure. Really great time, so I really enjoyed watching that. And then the very next day, the same friend and I made a very poor decision and decided to go watch Obsession before it came out of theaters, because it was going to be coming out of theaters pretty soon after that point. And honestly, probably the less said about Obsession, the better, because I don't want to think about it very much. You know, in the week or so that it's been since I actually watched the movie, I have recovered quite a bit from that experience. And so, like, I'm not as, like, what's the phrase that I'm looking for? Like, how am I going to describe this? I'm not as, like, there's not as much prolonged effect that that movie has had on me since watching it, but the effect that it had on me while watching it and immediately afterwards was maybe the most visceral experience that I've had watching a movie in a very long time, maybe ever. And so I came out of that just thinking, like, this is a perfect movie. There's not a single thing about that I would not, point out as being of solid quality or really great, whatever. But I never want to watch it again. And immediately after watching it, I wanted to forget every single second of that experience. Like, I came out of that theater and I was like straight up in fight or flight mode. I was shaking for a couple hours, like the entire couple hours on my way home. I was shaking, and for most of the rest of that day, basically. It took a couple of days before I was like, okay, this movie has not had an actual traumatic effect upon me, but it felt like it was going to for a couple of days. So, like, that, great experience. By great experience, I mean perfect movie. Never going to watch it again, period. And also would maybe like to forget everything about it as well, because wow, that was a crazy movie. That is everything that I watched over the last couple of weeks, but I do have plans of a couple things to watch over this fortnight so that I can make videos about them. I was actually planning to watch Markiplier's Iron Lung over the last fortnight, because that did come out on streaming on YouTube over the fortnight, and I was going to watch that basically right after watching Backrooms or Obsession, but because of my friend and I deciding to watch Obsession the next day, basically on a whim, I was going to watch Iron Lung that day, and so I didn't have time to do that because we went on a trip to go see Obsession instead, and immediately after watching Obsession, I needed a few days away from thinking about anything horror movie related, because wow, my mind was not in that good space anymore. So hopefully I should be watching Iron Lung this fortnight. And then as a result of reading Color of Magic and just finishing The Light Fantastic, I do want to watch the Color of Magic, what is it, I guess the mini-series, I guess you could call it. It's like a 2-part mini-series adapting those 2 books together, and I want to watch that and make a video about that. So maybe those 2 things happen this fortnight. But I have mentioned quite a bit about upcoming releases, so let's actually move into that section here and talk about what videos I have coming out. Maybe not the videos that I have planned beyond the next 2 weeks, but at least for the next couple of weeks, I've got some fun things going on. This Tuesday, on the 9th, will be a sort of duo review where I will cover Percy Jackson's Greek Gods and Heroes, cover both of those little supplemental works together in one video. On Wednesday, the 10th, on the second channel, will be my brief review for BioShock 2 Remastered, basically right after I got Ghost of Yote finished up, got that review up on the channel and finally finished that. I decided to take a couple days right after that to go ahead and work on the BioShock 2 review, since I was in that editing mindset. So it was like, this is good to go, let's just get this done. On Thursday the 11th will be a collaboration between the main channel and the second channel, where I will talk about The Bird That Drinks Tears, the series, because the reason that I picked the series up is because of a video game based off of the world titled Project Windless currently, that was revealed back in February, the State of Play, the Sony State of Play back in February, that caught my eye, and caught my eye because it said it was based off of a book series. I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to be making a video about that topic on Thursday. Then on Friday the 12th on the second channel will be episode 2 of the Need for Speed Carbon Let's Play, continuing that right along, kind of like I was talking about earlier. Nothing really much to say about that. On Saturday the 13th will be the 5th live stream for The Last of Us Part 2, where I will finish Seattle Day 2, because I did not finish that while I was streaming it this morning at the time of recording, because of voice-related stuff, even though I'm recording this right now, but mostly for time-related reasons. So I will be finishing Day 2 this Saturday, basically. As for next week, on Sunday the 14th on the main channel will be a video looking ahead to a little bit of my TBR, generally speaking, for the next few months, where I will talk about the next epic fantasy series that I'm looking forward to reading. So that is what I'll be covering next week. On the 15th, on what day is that actually? Monday the 15th will be Movie Magic episode 21, where I will be reviewing properly Backrooms. I plan to actually make a video proper about that movie, talking about how I feel like it is an underdog film of the year contender, so that should be coming out next week. I haven't actually worked on that at all basically yet, on account of being behind on main channel videos at the moment, so there is a chance that video might get delayed, but I'm really hoping it doesn't. I really don't want it to, so fingers crossed next Monday. On Tuesday the 16th will be a review of Roadwork by Stephen King, just, you know, another book review on the main channel. Nothing much else to say about that. On Thursday the 18th will be a video that has honestly been a really, really long time coming. You know, now that it's been a year since I've read Shadows Upon Time, I should rank Sun Eater. I've been kind of holding off on this video for reasons that I explain in that video, but since I have not properly ranked Sun Eater at this point, I am making a placeholder video for that topic next week. So, you know, the reasons for all that, again, I explain in the video, so you can check that out if you're interested. On Friday the 19th, again, not a whole lot to say here, just episode 3 of the Need for Speed Carbon Let's Play, basically finishing all of the 3 major regions of the game before you get to the final zone. And then Saturday the 20th will be the 6th live stream for The Last of Us Part 2, where I should, honestly, be able to get through all of Seattle Day 3. I see no reason why I should not be able to get through all of that in one stream, so that should be happening next week. As for, you know, this fortnight, kind of what else I've got going on at the moment. Last time on the series, I did talk about, you know, the content grind being real. Of course, I have mentioned that that is pretty much true these last couple weeks, or I've implied that because, you know, I was expecting to have all of June's, you know, book binge content done before today's stream, or yesterday's stream, I guess, at the time of this video's release. I was also going to be working on some July content already at the same time. The first book binge video for July is also ready to go. I just didn't record that one yet because I was pretty much dead after I finished recording all of the June videos. So I haven't gone ahead on any of that yet. Like I said, impromptu family visits, movie watching, illness, allergies, all this kind of stuff hitting me at the same time meant that, yeah, I just didn't have time to really do as much on this front as I was hoping to, or I was planning to, but I still did manage to get the June videos recorded, like I said, and I do plan to, immediately after this video is done, basically the rest of today, both at the time of this video's release and at the time of its recording, I plan to edit a lot of those videos this fortnight, so, you know, basically still doing alright despite the delays and everything, but I have gotten a bit behind this fortnight on account of those things. So the upcoming couple of weeks won't be as much of a break as I hoped for on account of that. Last time I did talk about how I wanted to be able to take a little bit of a break. Won't be able to do that. But you know, it is what it is. I'm feeling okay. I'm not feeling like I'm rushed or burning out or anything. It's just I was hoping to be able to relax a little bit longer than I'm going to be able to. And to be fair, while I was sick, even though I was sick, I did relax a little bit by gaming more than I typically would have allowed myself to. So I guess that might make up for it, question mark. Even so, you know, life is good. I'm doing good. Getting plenty of stuff done anyway, still reading, watching things has been fun, again some gaming, plus I got a little tiny bit of writing done the last couple weeks, hope to do some more of that. Fiction writing, by the way, I've not been catching up on review writing at all for quite a while, so oops. But yeah, that's basically everything that I've got going on. Definitely a slight bit exhausted at this exact moment, but this time I'm more exhausted because I'm in recovery rather than because of overworking myself, like was more the case in the last one of these updates. But, you know, everything's good. It is summertime. The weather's great. I want to go out and be happy. So, yeah. That's going to be the end of this video, I suppose. Thank you for watching this. If you did, whatever you guys got going on the last couple weeks, heading into this coming fortnight, I'm curious to hear about it, so feel free to let me know. Thank you for watching this video. For now, I've been your host, King Crusoe. You can call me KC, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.